Hi, thank you for joining me, your instructor, Saint Octavia, founder, director, and CEO of www.saintsunited.org. So today we're going to be continuing on to chapter 2, or part 2 of part 1 of Introduction to the Book of Judges. So I pray that the first part was a blessing to you. And of course, this is the course of the introduction of the history books of the Bible. And this class today is the Book of Judges, and the lesson is the Introduction to the Book of Judges, Part 2. So let's continue on here, and so we can move on to the next book. How exciting. So let's see here. So, of course, as I stated, this is the introduction to the Book of Judges, Part 2. And the Book of Judges, of course, is in the Bible, and it is a historical and literary work that depicts a tumultuous period in the history of ancient Israel. It covers the time after Joshua's leadership, when various judges rise to deliver the Israelites from their oppressors. The book highlights a cynical pattern of sin, oppression, repentance, and deliverance. The judges were charismatic leaders chosen by God to guide the Israelites and maintain their covenant with Him. However, the book also portrays the moral decline and disobedience of the Israelites, leading to their repeated cycles of suffering and redemption. Overall, Judges emphasizes the importance of faithfulness in God and the consequences of straying from His path. The Book of Judges is a book in the Bible that tells the story of the Israelites after they entered the Promised Land. It covers a period of time when the Israelites did not have a king, and instead they were ruled by a series of leaders called judges. The Book of Judges begins with the death of Joshua, who was the leader of the Israelites after Moses. After Joshua's death, the Israelites started to turn away from God and began worshiping other gods. As a result, they faced many challenges and were often conquered by neighboring nations. But when the Israelites cried out to God for help, He would raise up a judge to deliver them from their enemies. These judges were chosen by God and had the task of leading the Israelites and delivered them from oppression. The Book of Judges introduces us to several famous judges, such as Gideon, Samson, and Deborah. Each judge had their own unique story and played a significant role in the history of Israel. However, despite God's faithfulness and deliverance, and the deliverance brought by the judges, the Israelites continued to cycle through a pattern of sin, oppression, repentance, and deliverance. This cycle repeated throughout the book, showing the Israelites' struggle to remain faithful to God. The Book of Judges teaches us important lessons about the consequences of turning away from God, the importance of obedience, and the faithfulness of God even in the midst of human failings. So, overall, the Book of Judges is a fascinating account of the Israelites' journey through a tumultuous period and provides vulnerable insights into the relationship between God and His chosen people. In the Book of Judges, several key definitions and terms are used to describe important concepts and events. Here are some of them. 1. Judges. The term judges refers to the leaders chosen by God to deliver the Israelites from their oppressors and to govern them during the period of the judges. These judges were not necessarily legal authorities, but rather military leaders and spiritual guides who led the Israelites in times of crisis. 2. Oppressors. The oppressors were the nations or peoples who conquered the oppressed the Israelites during the period of the Judges. They were often used by God as instruments of punishment for the Israelites' disobedience and turning away from Him. Idolatry. Number 3. Idolatry refers to the worship of idols or false gods, which was a recurring problem among the Israelites during the period of the Judges. It involved the forsaking of the worship of the true God and the turning to the worship of various pagan deities. 4. Apostasy. Apostasy refers to the act of turning away from God and abandoning one's faith. The Israelites were prone to apostasy during the period of the Judges, often forsaking the worship of God and following after the gods of the surrounding nations. 5. A cycle of apostasy. The cycle of apostasy and the recurring patterns seen throughout the book of Judges, it involves the Israelites turning away from God, falling into oppression by their enemies, crying out to God for deliverance, and then being raised up by God, or being raised up by a judge whom God sends to rescue them. However, after a period of peace, the Israelites would often fall back into apostasy, restarting the cycle. 6. Covenant. The covenant refers to the agreement or contract between God and the Israelites. It defined their relationship and outlined the responsibilities and blessings associated with it. The Israelites were expected to obey God's commandments and worship Him alone in exchange for His protection and blessings. 7. Baal. Baal was a major Canaanite god, commonly worshipped by the Israelites during the period of the Judges. He was considered the god of fertility and often associated with rain and agriculture. Baal worship was seen as a direct violation of the Israelites' covenant with God. These are just a few of the key definitions found in the book of Judges. They help provide context and understanding of the events and themes discussed in the narrative. Okay, so here are some key verses from the book of Judges. 1. Judges 2, 16 through 19. Then the Lord raised up judges who saved them out of the hands of these raiders. Yet they would not listen to their judges, but prostituted themselves to other gods and worshiped them. They quickly turned from the ways of their ancestors who had been obedient to the Lord's commands. Whenever the Lord raised up a judge for them, He was with the judge and saved them out of the hands of their enemies. As long as the judge lived, for the Lord relented because of their groaning under those who oppressed and afflicted them. But when the judge died, the people returned to ways even more corrupt than those of their ancestors, following other gods and serving and worshiping them. They refused to give up their evil practices and stubborn ways. 2. Judges 6:12. When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." 3. Judges 7:2. The Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many men. I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel will boast against me. My own strength has saved me." 4. Judges 16:28. Then Samson prayed to the Lord, "Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just once more, and let me, with one blow, get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." 5. Judges 21:25. In those days, Israel had no king. Everyone did as they see fit. These verses highlight some of the central themes and events in the book of Judges, including the cycle of apostasy, God's faithfulness in raising up judges, and the consequences of Israel's disobedience. They also showcase the stories of key figures like Gideon and Samson. So thank you so much, class, for joining me on part 2 of the book of Judges. Of course, part 1 went into way deeper definition and explanation of everything that was brought up here, minus the verses and the key vocabulary, terminology, and descriptions. So thank you so much for joining me, your instructor, St. Octavia, founder, director, and CEO of www.saintsunited.org. I pray you have a blessed day in the Lord. And until next time, God bless you.